Welcome to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I'm your host, Darrell Scott, and together we will dive into the lives and careers of the jazz legends who have left a rhythmic imprint on the world. Be prepared to reminisce on the highs and the lows of their musical journey and the trials that sculpted their timeless musical gems. We'll preserve the legacy of these extraordinary maestros and find inspiration in the melodies of their lives. Subscribe now and never miss a beat. Now, let's get to the show. Welcome to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I am Darrell Scott. We got a guy who, number one, who's played with Bobby Caldwell. He's played with Diane Schuur. He's played with a whole bunch of people. I think you're really going to enjoy this interview here. His name is Patrick Lamb. Patrick, how are you today?
Man, I'm blessed. I'm sitting here in Palm Beach. You guys can't see it, but maybe if I turned it, you can see it. You can't see it. But anyway, I'm overlooking the ocean and just so grateful to be talking to you and talking about music and excited about music, excited about life. I just got done with the 6-mile run and I'm just ready for whatever God puts in front of me coming up. So
Man, I appreciate this. And if you run 6 miles, you've run 6.1 miles longer than I have in the last year. We just say that. Running is not my forte, but that's a whole other story. You've got a great career, but how did you start playing the saxophone? And let me put it to you this way. There are a ton of saxophone players. When you got started, were you drawn to the sax? Were you given a sax? Why did you choose the saxophone?
Man, saxophone was the only thing. I have to give you a little framework and to understand, but it was the only thing that I knew how to do. My family was made of school teachers. My stepdad and my mom were school teachers, and for whatever reason, we moved every year until I was about 14.
Wow.
So I'm just going to give you a little background just to
Okay.
where this is all going. But
Go ahead.
so I was born in Jackson, Mississippi. I'm really from the Mississippi Delta. So not everybody thinks that when they see, Patrick Lamb in Palm Beach, they're like, well, he must be like, Silver Spoon. And what they don't realize is I've worked every job from picking strawberries to making pizza to parking cars until I was a successful entrepreneur and able to put some money together. But at any rate, my parents moved. Back to your question, we moved like 12, 13 times. So we lived in Jackson, Mississippi, Cleveland, Mississippi, Bullitt, Mississippi, Mendenhall, Mississippi, Jacksonville, Florida, St. Simons Island, Georgia, Newnan, Georgia, Madras, Georgia. And I'm missing some. But at any rate, we moved, and I was always the kid that was. Do you remember ever like the kids that would enroll late in class?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I was that guy. That was the guy.
Mm-hmm. I did that one time.
Yeah, do you know what that feels like?
Yes. Yep.
So I was always the kid that was like, my parents arrived at town late, and they're like, oh, we should probably enroll that guy in school. And so they would so we got to my stepdad got a job teaching at a really nice private school in it was like 1983, 4. And but I couldn't it was kind of for all the rich kids. I couldn't afford to go there because we were poor. So I went to the middle school, Cedar Park Middle School, which is a public school. But the beauty of it is that, and this is the way God works, had I gone to Oregon Episcopal, they didn't even have music at the time. So I went to Cedar Park. And not only did they have music, but here's a little trivia. They had the same beginning band teacher as Chris Bodie. So no, Chris is
Oh.
Mr. Robert Ernst. So Chris is a few years my senior. So I didn't know him or meet him. He had already gone on, but so I rolled in class, was late. Everybody, picture, you show up at class, it's like, oh, here's Patrick, and everybody's already sitting down, and then they're playing drums because everybody wants to play the loud instruments. So everybody's drums or trumpet, right? Because that's what kids do. They want attention. And so after class, Mr. Ernst took me aside. He got out one of these books. Do you remember seeing those with the instruments? If
Yes.
you the first time you go to beginning band, you get these books, and these books have like pictures
Yes.
of all the instruments. So we had, I'm just scrolling through. He's like, oh, well, gosh, I'd like to play trumpet. He's like, no, we got too many trumpet. I'd like to play drums. No, can't play that. Too late. So I picked out the clarinet. I took that home for a week. I really just didn't like it. Came back, picked up the saxophone, and immediately liked the saxophone. And he gave me some books, like the etudes and basic stuff. I went through all of that stuff. Thought I was getting pretty good. Maybe I was getting a little cocky. And so my stepdad brought me home this book called the Charlie Parker Book,
Ooh.
which is a book of transcribed Charlie Parker solos.
Right.
He says, "Oh, you think you're pretty good, huh? How about that? How about that right there, huh? Once you learn that,
Right.
snapper, young grasshopper." So I did. So I started learning a few of those, and then through that I got some confidence and went out to some jam sessions, and that's really where it all starts. People ask, how do you get a start in the music business? I don't know. You have to put it out there and go meet people and play, and hopefully people like what you do. So I was playing different jam sessions and starting to get calls, and then it wasn't too long I got a call from a guy in New York named Peter Paul. He says, "Oh, I represent this lady named Diane Schuur.
Oh yeah.
You come really high recommended." I'm really like, from who? I'm thinking. Anyway, he said, I said, great. He said, so I don't know who Diane Schuur is. But,
Honesty.
at the time, I was like, I don't know. And he said, well, look, I'll send you the music. And the first gig is at this place called the Schnitzer Hall. And I'm like, where's that? I'm playing like little, it's like five people showing up.
Right.
And and the Schnitzer Hall was like the biggest hall downtown. So I was, I remember walking literally with the map, and I was on Broadway. I was like,
Trying to find it, looking around, looking
I
for
was like,
signs.
how do you get in here?
Nice.
Anyway, I hope this is not too long-winded, but
No.
that's how, that he had sent me her records, which had Stan Getz on them, and I transcribed those solos, and then showed up to the gig ready to play them. And after that, she's blind. She
Right. Yes.
was like, hey, she's like, I want you to go on tour with me. So that's how it started. And then through that, I've been touring ever since, pretty much. With her, and then with Bobby Caldwell after that, and then I did some touring with as a sub for Jeff Lorber Fusion, and some other bands, and then Gino Vannelli. The last 15 years, I've been the I don't know, kind of the MD for the horns and brass in every city. And so we're filming a new special coming up in Serbia. And if you check out my schedule, there's a ton of different. We just got back from Holland and Serbia and Amsterdam, all sold out shows. So
nice. So I got two questions about maybe performances here. Diane Schuur played the Tracy Jazz Fest in the 80s. I can't remember the exact year. Might you've been on that tour?
Oh, which one?
It was a Tri-C Jazz Fest, and it was Diane Schuur.
In the 80s?
Yes.
No, I didn't come
Okay.
on till I did not start touring with her until I think 90
Oh, okay.
around that time.
Okay.
So so no, that wouldn't have been me.
So the pressure of being this teenager, early 20s saxophone player, and all of a sudden you get a call to play with Diane Schuur. Is there immediate pressure, or are you just going, I need to find the person who recommended me because I want to pay them $5 because they've got me this great gig?
No, I didn't have $5. Are you kidding me? No, I remember, oh my God, man, I was so I got full scholarship to every school I applied. I won like the best soloist to Lionel Hampton Jazz Festival, played with Lionel Hampton. After that, every school offered me scholarships. And so I went
Mm-hmm.
to Mountain Community College, but Mountain Community College was like 25 miles outside of Portland. I had this big van. It was kind of a running joke. I think I still owe people money for gas money because um, I'd be parking cars at night, and then I go into school during the day, playing at night, getting up at like 6:30, and, and partying a little in between. So, but there, yeah, it's called survival. That's it. You're as good as your last gig. What you've done
When,
before really doesn't even matter. I mean, that can get you in some doors, but if you can't play, nobody cares. No,
uh,
nobody's asking for your Berkeley, you know,
degree?
res resume.
Uh,
You're like, can I
yeah.
see your Berkeley degree, please? Something never said.
No.
So, I'm really more of a almost like a street player in that regard. I'm not like a um extremely scholastic. I've just been doing it. I quote Quincy Jones. I'm educated from the college of the streets. I got a PhD in how to make ends meet. You know that off the Dude record.
Very good. Very good. Um, so you spent a lot of time playing and touring. At what point in your career did you go, it's time for me to step out and do this stuff on my own? Let me put out my own CD, my own music. What was
Pretty
that
much,
like?
pretty much like 2 years ago. No, seriously, it's interesting because I've been putting out stuff, um, but not with a laser focus and consistency like I'm doing now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we kind of be touring that. I put out a project, and I wasn't really following up. Like if you look at my schedule now, it's not stop. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of my own stuff. So that wasn't the case in the past. It was just I was sort of happy with. I mean, because all the engagements have been really amazing to do, and a lot of fun. Playing with these artists. So really, just recently have I really focused on what I do live, and it's quite a jump to go from this side guy to to the stars or whatever you want to call it to kind of like, well, what? Yeah, but why should I go see Patrick? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I liked seeing him in Tokyo with Bobby Caldwell, or that was a nice solo with Gino, but it's a whole other thing to be an artist that people are like, wow, I want to go see that guy,
Mm-hmm.
and pay the money to come, pay money for the ticket. So that's a whole other jump. That's been a more difficult hurdle to cross. The not playing. because when we've sold out 6 of our last 8 shows. So when I get the opportunity, we always turn it out. There's no doubt on the ability or what we bring, but getting the opportunity when you see like a lot of these festivals book like the same 12 people,
Yes.
it's like 3 agents, 12 artists, and it's just like,
Right.
I'm like, man, how would you even? And they're like, well, I can't hire you because we haven't seen you. I'm like, well, how are you going to see me if you don't hire me?
Right.
And it's
Yes.
just like, and they give you like a Wednesday night, and then, like nobody shows. I'm like, well, but the Friday and Saturday night is when people come, and they
When they
know
come
that.
out.
So
Right.
it's just a kind of that's the biggest difficulty. And I've had a lot of success in everything I've focused on. I launched a ticket company I did over 50 million with. And so I've been very successful in anything focused on, but this is one of the harder things to do. It's very clicky, it's very, I don't know, tribal. Is that the right word? Almost.
Yes. Yes.
It's kind of people. And so just getting the initial opportunity. And then there's people that know what you got and they don't want you in the door because they know when we're on the stage, we're gonna to quote Bobby Caldwell, he'd say, listen, if you can't take the stage, I don't want you on it. You know. So, wherever we go, we turn it out and people love it and they end up dancing. And so that's it's just a process, and I've got to honor that process. It's kind of in God's timing, and I'm by nature, I guess it's like tied into that survival as if you could do this, survive, you have the survival thing as an artist. So that can easily be the other side of that coin could be um impatient,
Right. Yes.
and so I can be, self-admittedly, I can be very impatient.
All right,
So
let's take an opportunity right now to hear something that you have played. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest today on the Jazz Flyte Podcast is Patrick Lamb, and what you're about to hear is one of his songs called Tailgate on the Jazz Flyte Podcast. That is Tailgate from the Jazz Flyte Podcast guest, Patrick Lamb. Patrick, this is that last answer that you gave is very interesting because there's all kinds of different avenues or what we call a course, a plan to get to where you want to get to. But I can say one thing. When you were up at Oregon, you're now in the Oregon Music Hall of Fame. How did you do that?
I don't know. They submit people with the Oregon Music Hall of Fame organization, and then the voting members vote on it, and then they induct you as somebody that I suppose they have decided are have given philanthropically and given meaning to the Oregon music scene. So I'm grateful to be a part of it. It's always nice to be recognized. I don't and I spent a lot of time in Oregon. I also got the 3 Muddy Awards from the Cascade Blues Association, and Spirit of Portland Award by the city of Portland for kind of my philanthropic endeavors working with children's cancer. Coretta Scott King Award by the Gospel Association there for a tribute to Martin Luther King. I co-wrote it, produced it, put it out. You can check it out. It's on just search Patrick Lamb, a Heavenly Brother, and it's one of my first projects I produced at home. like in my first bungalow, literally in the basement. It was about this size,
Hmm.
and I would have artists come in and we recorded everything in a room about, oh, 30 feet, maybe. And but I'm really proud of the project. It's not the most incredibly well recorded project, but
Hmm.
check it out, Heavenly Brother, tribute to Martin Luther King, all that he represents, the content of our character and working together as human beings. So
We will definitely do that. You've mentioned a couple of other things outside of music that you do. Can you kind of elaborate on everything that you do? Because I don't want to misquote, I don't want to not name something, but in my terms, you're always busy, and I wonder when you sleep, because you have all these things that you're part of, that you're doing, startup projects, the production company. You got this, you got a ton of stuff. Tell us about all the stuff that you do.
it's just fun. That's what it is. I try to do
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I mean, I have my core values and discipline, and you have to work hard at anything that's worth having. So, I'm very goal minded, and I'm also very health minded, and I have a to do list with which has all those categorized. I recategorize them every day. But I have a sound company. I did have a ticket company that I started, founded, and then I have a record label, and then I tour with producing other shows. I produce a concert series called Jazz at the Oxford in Central Oregon for a 5-star resort that has I've booked probably everybody you can think of. I mean, more straight ahead leaning. So I mean, from Sheila E. to Joey DeFrancesco to Arturo Sandoval to I mean, we've got some incredible artists this year coming up from Connie Hahn to Stokely from Mint Condition, Sean LaBelle, and Steve Cole. And anyway, just uh, did I mention Joey DeFrancesco? Yeah,
Yes, you did. Yeah.
we booked all kinds of so a lot of different artists. So probably 100 different artists over the last 13 years. So I do 5-6 weekends of jazz. I book all the flights, all the contracts, and every show is sold out. So people don't, not everybody knows this about me, but I mean, and I say this with no ego whatsoever, but I can do most of the business from the bottom to the top,
Hmm.
and I'm not ashamed to say it. I've loaded trucks, I'll get out there with my sound guys. I'll outwork anybody, I'll get out there and, I'm just a get her done kind of guy. And I enjoy it. I enjoy working, I just take a lot of pride and working, getting stuff done, accomplishing things. I really enjoy being part of the creation of new projects, you know.
Hmm.
And so so yeah, those are some of the things that I live here in Palm Beach. I have a corporate band called Hit Factory, and we play like huge events. We're playing at the a convention center at a resort in Bend, Oregon. Um, And it's the ironic thing is I probably make more money with that than any of the jazz stuff. I mean, I
Yeah.
love the jazz, but
Right.
but but like in Palm Beach, we've got 50 billionaires within 6 miles of where I live, and so
Hmm.
they have parties, and they the kind of parties they throw. So it's a nice place to be for corporate events. And then but you can check it out, hitfactoryentertainment.com. And so we're playing, yeah, like New Year's Eve. It sells out every year, and but it's nothing but funkadelic dance music, And I
Hmm.
sing, and not even everybody knows that I sing a lot. And I don't make any claims as singer because we know who all the great singers are, and I do too. So, but I have a lot of fun doing it, and they hire us to do it. So
How do you manage your time? Because before we started, you said you went out and ran 6 miles today. How do you manage your time? I mean, are you up at 4 o'clock in the morning and then asleep at like 11 o'clock at night and getting started again at 6:30 in the next morning?
I'm usually up at 8, and then I'll go to bed about 2 a.m. That's more like that that type of schedule. So, but the schedule, sleep is you have to get used to just not having a lot of it sometimes, because like we just traveled to Holland and Serbia and Amsterdam, and there's got early lobby calls, and so you just have to set your clock and just get to it.
Where does your style, your sound come from? Did you have influencers that influence your style, or are you just making your own style, and how are you doing that?
It's funny. I had this guy play for me at Spaghettini's, which is in Seal Beach, which was sold out. So we're going to chalk that up, another sold out concert. And he came up to me and was like, "Man, your stuff's like really complicated. I listened to it. It's like all groovy, but man, this is like Yellow Jackets." And I'm like, "Man, it's just music."
Right.
And that's really what I think. Because like, I've done stuff with Robbie Krieger from The Doors, rock and roll stuff, Alice Cooper, Tommy Thayer from Kiss, Danny Seraphin. I've got stuff coming up with Jason Sheff, who fronted Chicago, New York. And that's just it's just music, and there's I think of it like I'm in the happiness business, so if you don't know that, then well, you're probably missing the boat on some certain level, because the people, I mean, you find that place where you're serving, you're being authentic, right? Find that place, that Venn diagram, if you can, where you're being true and to yourself, what you love, but then also what other people love. If you want to have a successful music business, if you want to pay your bills,
right?
But
yes.
Some people can wake up and, if you could just wake up and be Esperanza Spalding and a total unique, incredible, just, God-given, incredible artist, and go be you, then God bless you. But the rest of it sort of
we got to work.
Well, you have to do the best with who you are and what you have at the moment that you have it. A lot of us are waiting for, a lot of people are waiting for the planets to line up,
right?
And they never do.
No.
They're like, well, when this happens, and the investor comes and knocks at my door, and that writer, I feel like the song is perfect. They're all up in their feelings. I'm like, well, what you need to do. Well, I can't speak for other people, but for me, I do the next best thing that I can just discern in front of me, that God puts in front of me. And then I do that with my whole heart. And then things just, it just seems like a law of the universe. If you do that, because sometimes it's confusing. You don't know what to do, right? Lots of people are guilty of that, right? I know, right? You're like, well, today I just don't know what the hell to do, right? You're just like,
right.
I don't know, you just have to like be quiet, think, even if it's a task, it's like, wow, what's going to make me feel good is I'm going to clean my kitchen. So
right.
I'm just going to love this.
Sometimes it's little things though, but sometimes it's that minute thing. It's we talked about my dog earlier, actually I can hear people yelling at me now. I'll just call him Brody. You know,
Brody.
we go out for a walk, and there are days when he's the happiest dog in the world, and then there are days you can just tell, like he likes to stop. We're walking down the sidewalk, and he just stops. So then I run into him, and he turns and looks at me like, "What? You didn't see my brake light? Dog, you ain't got brake lights. You know."
Right.
Um, and then sometimes just getting him outside, watching him run and jump and kind of interact. He's as I call him, he's a circular dog. And what I mean by that is left to right all the time. He just
Okay.
runs in circles, just run. And if he sees another dog, he'll stare. And me and the other person will go, I go, it's some kind of mental telepathy that they had.
He just
They
goes
don't
like
bark.
that, huh?
Yeah, they just like stare. And I want to go, what what are you guys talking about? What are you guys doing? But I realize that they have their own mind and they have their own thing. This you're a full of life kind of guy
No,
in
thank
just a
you.
short time that we've talked. You have a lot of things going on. You manage your time. You do a lot of things. You have a very positive attitude. Your music is growing on me. It really is. I've listened to a whole bunch of
Thank you.
things
Thank
from
you.
YouTube and all that sort of stuff, and I really enjoy it. The other thing I found interesting is we were trying to contact each other. You said from Amsterdam, and I'm thinking, does he live in Amsterdam? What is going on? And I realized it took us a little time to get together. And then once
Yeah.
then I read the bio and I go, he's in Florida. So what's the Amsterdam? But it's great. I'm glad you're here in the States. You do a phenomenal job. We will keep abreast of what's going on. And before I go, I would be remiss if I didn't have to take the opportunity. Lost a great man a couple of weeks ago now, Mr. David Sanborn. Do you have any memories or thoughts of David Sanborn?
Just that David has really the holy grail of what you want as an artist, which is a completely, totally um, axiomatically unique sound, instantly recognizable. Because a lot of the stuff you hear on the radio, I mean, there's like 9,000 saxophone players,
Yeah,
right?
there are.
It's like saxophobia, saxolicious. And but you hear one note,
You know it's
David
him.
Sanborn. That's
Mm-hmm.
David Sanborn.
Mm-hmm.
So all the rest is for MasterCard, and that's really um, I don't. You can't even explain it. But everybody wants it, but everybody can't have it.
Right.
And David had it. So and I got to meet him, opening up for him at a winery many years ago, and he was very kind and generous and just a nice human being. So shout out to him and his family. And fortunately, this is the beautiful thing about being a musician: his music will live on
Yes.
forever.
Yes.
So that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. The tough part with that catalog that he has is, can you pick out one song that's your favorite David Sanborn song? Nope. Can't do
Nope.
that. Just
No.
can't. I'm not even going to try because there's 100 of them, and we
Yeah.
just keep going. Patrick, before we close, I want people to be able to find out, first of all, what do you've got going on next? What's your next endeavor? What's your next musical piece? What's your next project
Oh
to
wow.
start?
Geez. Well, okay. So I just had a new single just came out called "I Remember When" with Michael Thompson. Is a co-writer. Well, no, sorry, he is the writer on of that song. We have a
Mm-hmm.
project called Thompson Lamb Project,
Mm-hmm.
thompsonlambproject.com. Uh, Michael Thompson is fair to say one of the most recorded guitarists of all time. He's on just do search for Michael Thompson Real
Mm-hmm.
any question. It's like all the hits you've ever heard, like with David Foster and like Cher and Shania Twain and Celine Dion. My Heart Will Go On. Michael Thompson.
Okay.
So we have a project called Thompson Lamb Project. This my latest single is called I Remember When. He wrote it. We decided, since I'm just kind of working on my career, that I'm just gonna put it out under Patrick Lamb, but all credit to Michael Thompson. Eric Valentine's on it, drums. Lenny Castro just came out. So I have that. I was also on a new project with Stokely and Sean LaBelle. And make sure to go check that out. And then so this week I'm going to be at Stockton Jazz Taste of Jazz on the 2nd, and then on the 7th I'm going to be in South Carolina, and then I've got dates with Gino Vannelli in Texas, and then we play at Sony Hall in New York, and then I play a casual in Oregon, and then anyway, it's just nonstop through next year.
Once again, when do you rest? When you talk to Gino Vannelli, one of my all-time, top 10 songs is I Just Want to Stop. It is just a tremendous piece. I can't play it enough. It's on my playlist of many different playlists that I have. I just love that song, and I think he just did a wonderful job with that.
Well, did you hear the special that we did, the PBS special?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna send this to you.
Okay. And then before we go, how can people follow you? What's your social media? Are you Instagram, Facebook, X, whatever?
So Facebook, follow me on Facebook, Facebook / Patrick Lamb Music.
Mm-hmm.
And just Instagram, same thing, Patrick Lamb. And that's I'm easy to find. But you know what would be great is if you could follow me on Bands in Town.
Oh yeah, I just got that.
And I just sent you the I Just Want to Stop from our PBS special.
Okay.
And we're filming another one coming up in Serbia. Everything was sold out in Europe, so this big media conglomerate guy basically has built this new hall, and we're opening it and filming it special same time in September. Okay. So
excellent. Just make sure you take September 17th off. That's a holiday in my world.
Okay.
It's my birthday.
Oh, it's your birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you, sir.
Happy birthday. 27. 27.
27. If we were in the same room, I'd give you a giant hug right now. Patrick, this has been great. Learned a lot. We will do whatever we can to make sure that people learn about your music. Keep doing what you're doing. And honestly, get some rest. Want to be around for a while, because I have seen people fall asleep on the stage. They weren't performing, but there's a story about somebody being on the stage at Blossom Music Center. All of a sudden, you look over and it's like, but they
oh no,
they had a very long night.
Hey, thank you so much. All right. Thanks for having me on the program, and God bless everybody, and stay in touch.
We will do that. Thank you, Patrick. This is the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I'm Darrell Scott. We will talk to you next week. Thank you for tuning in to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I hope you enjoy the stories and soulful melodies that grew through the doors of time. If you want to stay connected with the latest updates and episodes, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. Until next time, I'm Darrell Scott.